Morning guys, Louie here. Welcome back to Acorn Hill. It may be the high gear of spring, but this is the best time that we start planting summer bulbs. Yes, there are bulbs and plants that grow coming from bulbs and rhizomes and tubers for the summer. Today I've got a special plant. It's the African lily or the Agapanthus that I wanted to plant in pots. And the other summer bulb that I wanted to plant for you guys is something new for me. It's called the Ismin. And this sulfur queen style is something that reminds me of plants that we have back home in the Philippines. Got them for a good price on one of the grocery stores that we go to. And I figured that we want to try them this year. So I wanted to show you how we plant them into individual pots. Both bulbs grow in well-draining compost, and so that's what I'm doing here is I'm mixing filtered compost with a lot of perlite to give it more drainage and give it airiness for the soil. Growing medium is as important as buying these bulbs. We may want some full blooms and blossoms coming up and healthy plants coming from the pot, but if it's not growing in any good soil or any good planting material, then what we're buying really is a waste of money. Apart from perlite, a second ago I added coarse sand into the mix. What it does again is provide that good environment, the components of that growing medium that they're used to growing in South Africa. Sandy, well draining, a little bit of nutrition in the growing matter, but this is what I'm trying to prepare is the profile of the soil that it needs to grow in. Agapanthus and Esmeen make fantastic patio plants and look particularly good grown in terracotta pots. So some of them I will put in a terracotta pot, and I think the other one I will put in a different pot altogether. But no matter, putting them in pots is a good way. Give them a sunny spot and a free draining compost like I said earlier, and they'll start producing spectacular flowers in June, July or August depending on the variety, and the flower will last for many weeks. One more thing of note before we go into the actual planting. These bulbs are hungry bulbs. They need constant feed. And so what I did was used Plantone made by Espoma, or for some, you can also use Biotone because they're the same. Oh, and also, before I forget, don't forget your bone meal as well. Alrighty, planting time guys. Now I'm going to give you just the basics on how to put things in pots. Number one, you get your pot. Then you put either shards to cover the bottom of the pot, but in my case I'm using big gravels and big stones that are laying around in the garden. They're just kicking around there, so I might as well use them. We're using this for added drainage down the bottom so that there's no water and excess moisture sitting on the bottom of the pot. It will completely drain any of that extra moisture, and that's going to be good for the roots of these usually drought tolerant bulbs. Another exciting stuff about growing Agapanthus or the African lily and me using these rocks and stones within the pot is that they like being constricted within their container. And so apart from using the growing medium, I am actually mixing in big rocks and gravel so that when I put the bulbs in, the roots will be congested enough that they will be so tight. We want them root bound so that they can produce more flowers. Apparently, apart from the growing medium, this constriction within the container allows the bulbs to produce better flowers. And so we'll see how that goes this year. In the clip, I will be placing several bulbs right on top of the growing medium, making sure that they are snug, tightly seated on top of the level of planting medium that's on the pot at the moment. Each packet that I got contains one bulb stock, and each bulb, so you can see some of them are already pushing some growth. These are the ones that we will arrange tightly and neatly right on top of this level. There's that Plantone that I like using. That's just to trigger some of the roots to settle in and also for the bulbs to get a lot of food during the beginning of the season. I then made sure that I positioned the top of the bulbs about 5 centimeters below the rim of the pot, as well as not forgetting adding more rocks and gravel within and among the bulbs as I plant them in. Although Agapanthus are drought tolerant, I'll still need to water their pots at least a couple of times a week throughout the summer. And the added benefit of growing Agapanthus in pots is that it's easy to bring in the tender evergreen types under cover in the autumn. topping it up with more compost and gravel and planktone as needed. I then water it in to settle all the material and the bulbs in their new habitat. Now, potting up the ismeens or the Peruvian lily is similar and as easy as planting the same way I showed you the African lilies. They come as bulbs, and these bulbs are similar in size to the daffodils. They're very fleshy, they're teardrop shaped, and they have the basal plate, which is really the root section of the bulb, as well as the pointed end where all the foliage will start growing from. And by now, you all know the trick to potting up these drought tolerant and these drainage requiring plants. Place rocks, place broken crocks right on the bottom of each pot. This will separate the growing medium from what is going above, and water will not collect down the bottom of any type of pot, be it the terracotta that I'm using or just a regular resin or plastic ones. I've grown these Peruvian lilies or spider lilies last year, and they gave us a good show as well. They were potted in a resin pot, and they are fragrant at the same time. In the clip, I am showing you the same mixture that I used for the African lilies. It is filtered and screened compost, pretty much loamy at this stage. It has a lot of the biotone and the planktone in it, plus the bone meal. Definitely a mix that is high in potassium and phosphorus. This is a small terracotta pot, so I ended up having 4 Peruvian lilies inside the pot, and then I topped it up with the same soil mixture, watered it. Everything is now good for growing. Heat will now generate the effects of the biotone and the planktone, and this heat is what's going to trigger the roots, trigger the bulb to producing foliage and blooms. As I said earlier, these ismeens are sometimes called the spider lily, and the Peruvian lily has very attractive 4 to 6 exotic spider-like blooms per stem and have the amaryllis-like leaves, so they are wide and blade-like and sword-like in nature. This plant serves as an exciting focal point when planted in pots. There you have it, guys, just the basic planting method on how we grow ismeens, the African lily, in pots for our summer bulb displays and summer bulb growing. I hope you liked the video that I showed you, and please excuse me if I'm not in my usual YouTube quote-unquote studio. I am coming to you from our library because we got very exciting news indeed tonight. Tonight we hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, and this is very exciting for us. When I started doing this channel, I really was just hoping for 500, and if I get 500 to 1,000 subscribers that I could teach and I could share my small knowledge on and share and be informed and learn from you guys, I would be a happy guy. And tonight, April 14th, marks our milestone that now we have 1,000 subscribers onto the channel. Now, my request is if every single one of you can only bring at least 1 subscriber to be invited and check out our channel, then that would be a great thing indeed. There's a lot more content coming up. This year, I'm building our vegetable garden, as my friends from Facebook and other social media platforms have already seen. I'm learning. It's my first year of growing vegetables, but there's a lot that I can share in terms of building, in terms of garden tips, in terms of how we can really produce and initiate Acorn Hill Homegrown. So thank you so much for investing your time and spending your time with us. There's always a warm welcome to you guys here in Acorn Hill, and what a blessing. And thank you for allowing us to reach our 1,000 subscriber of quality, of good participation in less than a year. And so thank you again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for all of you out there, continue to watch our channel, for we're happy to produce all this content, and we're happy to be with you, at least on YouTube, during this time of the pandemic. For now, this is Louie. Thanks so much again for the pleasure of your time, and we'll see you back here in Acorn Hill. Bye-bye for now.